Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take those piles of information you send us and really pull out the key things you need to know. Today, we're diving into a really interesting source called You Are What You Eat, Human Body Function in Relation to Food.
Yeah, our mission today is to unpack what that really means, how what we eat affects, how our bodies actually work. We'll cover everything from like the basic building blocks, our cells, right up to some of the big issues with modern food. Might even change how you look at your dinner tonight. So let's get into it.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating right off the bat is this core idea. Nutrition is defined by proper body function. And that function comes directly from what you eat. It immediately makes you ask, okay, if we don't get how our body uses food, or maybe misuses it, how can we possibly know what's good for us or what to avoid? It really sets the stage.
Okay, so where does the source say this sort of disconnect started?
Well, it points to a pretty dramatic shift, actually. It says about 60 years ago here in the U.S., we started messing with food chemically.
Let's with it how? Adding artificial flavors, synthetic vitamins, preservatives, and just tons of sugar.
Right, and that wasn't just happening here, presumably.
No, it's become a global thing. The source estimates that today, maybe 50, even up to 80% of foods worldwide, they're artificial or chemical. Basically, they offer zero real nutritional value that our bodies can actually use to, survive and thrive.
So it looks like food, but it isn't really.
Kind of, yeah. A look-alike, as the source puts it. And it argues this directly contributes to malnutrition and, disease.
Wow, okay. And the source links this directly to health outcomes.
It does. It talks about the standard American diet, lots of sugar, GMOs, corn, soy, unhealthy fats, chemicals, and links that pattern to rising illness, disease, and this is pretty startling, a drop in lifespan.
A drop? How significant?
Significant. Talking about going from potentially over 100 years down to 70 or 80, and maybe even projections suggest down to 40 or 50 if these trends don't change.
40 or 50, that's drastic. Really makes you wonder about the long-term picture, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
So to really get this, we need to zoom in, right?
Yeah.
Go down to the cellular level.
Exactly. The source gives us a quick sort of biochemistry 101. Reminds us, we're made of trillions of cells. Each has its job. But fundamentally, they all need to eat, drink, and sleep, metaphorically speaking.
Okay. So what keeps them going?
A continuous supply of the right nutrients that keeps the cells alive. They form communities, do their jobs, rest, then get active, grow, divide, multiply. Like with skin healing or muscle growth.
Right.
And here's a mind bender from the source. Every single cell in your body gets replaced over about 7 to 10 years.
Wait, every single one?
Yep. So you literally aren't the same physical person you were a decade ago.
Huh. That's, wow, okay. So back to function. The source mentions insulin.
Yes, it zeroes in on that.
Yeah.
Proper insulin production and controlling its levels in the body is fundamental. And this leads to this really crucial distinction it makes between bondable and non-bondable fuels.
Bondable and non-bondable. Okay, let's unpack that. What does that mean?
So bondable fuels are basically natural forms of glucose, simple or complex sugars. Think of it as the body's preferred fuel. They're designed to link up or bond with insulin to create something called polyglucose, which cells use easily for energy. Life's fuel, essentially.
Okay, that makes sense. So non-bondable.
Non-bondable fuels are the problem.
Yeah.
They can't bond with insulin properly, so your liver has to deal with them. This massively increases its workload.
Right, it's like giving it the wrong tool for the job.
Kind of, yeah. And it creates damaging byproducts in the process. So the question becomes, what happens when that insulin bonding doesn't happen?
And the source explains that.
It does. It says when these non-bondable fuels, like certain types of glycogen, get processed by the overworked liver, the leftover unbonded stuff floats around your major organs.
And
then your fat cells basically gobble it up. This, the source says, is a direct route to belly fat.
okay, so it's not just about calories in, calories out. It's the type of fuel.
Precisely. And this cycle, year after year, accumulates fat, puts pressure on organs, especially the liver, and reduces their function over time.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Cholesterol. It's always painted as the bad guy, right?
Totally. Villain number one for heart health, usually. But this source offers a really different take.
Different how?
It calls cholesterol internal Band-Aids. It says it's vital for healing, for maintaining our cell walls, which are made of fat, a lipid bilayer.
Huh. Internal Band-Aids. I like that.
Yeah. And get this.
Yeah.
Our brain dry weight is like 35–40% cholesterol. Total lipids are even higher, 40–80%. There's a quote in there from a Dr. Kumaro.
Oh, yeah.
He said, if someone calls you a fathead, thank him. It's really a compliment.
Ah, okay, good to know. But there are different types of cholesterol, right? LDL, HDL.
Exactly. And the source makes a key distinction within LDL cholesterol itself. There's the large, fluffy, buoyant kind. This is good LDL. It's like a delivery truck carrying nutrients, CoQ10, vitamins, floats easily.
Okay. And the other kind?
That's the very small, dense lipoprotein VSLDL. Tiny, dense particles. They don't float well. They tend to get stuck in artery walls, cause blockages, hardening of the arteries, heart problems.
And the link to diet.
The source states pretty clearly that eating more of those non-bondable foods dramatically increases these harmful VSLDLs.
So if VSLDL is the problem, what about cholesterol medication, like statins?
Well, the source is pretty blunt here. It argues that drugs like statins aren't the answer.
Really? Why not?
It cites research linking statin use to some serious issues: congestive heart failure, neurological damage, diabetes, and one study it mentions showed a 500% increased risk of breast cancer in women.
Wow. 500%. That's huge.
It is. And the source really questions the whole idea of putting people on statins for life without more testing or dietary changes, regardless of age.
So the implication is fix the diet, fix the cholesterol.
That seems to be the takeaway. Healthy cholesterol levels arise naturally when the diet improves. It recommends balancing animal and plant fats roughly 1-to-1.
And warns against certain fats.
Definitely. Big warning against hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated fats, trans fats.
Yeah.
Says they're unnatural molecules, totally different from healthy ones in butter and linked to heart disease.
Okay.
And another interesting point, cooking or freezing vegetables, it apparently destroys their vital sterols. And refined vegetable oils become like dead sterols, non-functional.
Huh. Lots to think about there. What about protein? We need that too, right?
Absolutely. The source calls it the building blocks of healthy tissue. Explains how just a few ounces can break down into hundreds of amino acids, which then rebuild into thousands of molecules for every part of the body: organs, bones, cells, everything.
Okay. Now, let's move into some areas the source seems particularly concerned about. GMOs.
Yeah, genetically modified organisms. The source pulls no punches here, classifies them as toxic and non-bondable.
Toxic and non-bondable. Strong words.
Very. And it highlights a key difference. The U.S. doesn't mandate independent safety testing for GMOs. Europe does, though even those are limited, like 90-day studies.
Yep.
And the source calls this whole thing a Frankenfood experiment. And the really worrying part, it says it's irreversible.
Irreversible. How so?
Once these altered plants are out there, cross-pollination can change entire species forever. You can't just recall them. And while tiny organisms might adapt fast to genetic changes, it argues humans take generations. Which raises the question.
What are the consequences of this toxic evolution, as they put it?
Well, the studies cited point to some pretty dramatic effects in animals. Reproductive issues, higher infant mortality, birth defects, even sterility by the third generation.
Gee.
And toxicity in organs. Liver, kidneys, heart, spleen damage. And this is quite alarming, the gene, that's a living pesticide, engineered into some crops. It's actually been found in the blood of pregnant women and their unborn babies.
Wow. Okay. That's deeply concerning.
It is. And then there's soy. The source is incredibly critical of soy.
Oh, so?
Calls it a pure toxin. Says it has no real value even for animals. And it gives a stark warning specifically to mothers about soy formula for babies.
What's the concern there?
It claims soy formula gives infants the hormonal equivalent of 4 to 6 birth control pills daily. Female hormones.
4 to 6. Good grief.
Yeah. Raising concerns about altered sexual and neurological development, risks of autism, other dysfunctions, even cancer down the line.
So what's the recommendation instead?
Very clear. Breastfeed. If not possible, then transition to raw, organic cows or goat's milk, not soy.
Okay. And it's not just GMOs and soy, right? The source mentions issues with grains, too.
Right. Things like wheat and barley flour.
Yeah.
Often processed using something called desiccation.
Desiccation. What's that?
It's where they soak the crop in herbicides like Roundup right before harvest to dry it out evenly.
Soaking it in herbicide.
Yeah, which means glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup, ends up in the grain we eat.
And that's bad because?
Because glyphosate messes with our beneficial gut bacteria. This can lead to malabsorption syndrome, celiac disease. It can directly damage the intestinal wall.
And the CDC itself has concerns.
Yes, the source notes the CDC classified glyphosate as a possible carcinogen.
So this desiccation, does it affect other foods too, not just wheat and barley?
According to the source, yes. A lot of common staples. Oats, sugarcane, rice, seeds, dry beans, peas, sweet potatoes, sugar beets. Many are processed this way.
Adds up a lot of food.
It is. And then there's gluten itself, the protein in wheat, rye, barley. For many people, it triggers allergic or autoimmune reactions in the gut, like celiac disease.
Right, celiac is an autoimmune response, isn't it?
Exactly. The body attacks the intestinal wall. This leads to irritable bowel, osteoporosis, vitamin deficiencies, neurological issues, even higher cancer risk.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of potential problems in the food supply. What about the things we need, the positive stuff?
Right. The source definitely emphasizes the essentials, too.
Yeah.
And it puts minerals right at the top. Paramount, it says.
More important than vitamins.
In a way, yes. It argues you can take loads of vitamins, but they won't work properly without the right mineral balance. Minerals are foundational.
So how do we ensure we get enough minerals?
One interesting recommendation is to use natural, unprocessed sea salt liberally.
Unprocessed, like the colored stuff, pink salt, gray salt.
Exactly. The color gray, black, pink, red shows it's still in its natural form, full of minerals. Unlike refined white table salt, it directly impacts that crucial mineral balance for every cell.
Simple but important. Okay, what about vitamins then?
Still crucial roles, of course. Vitamin A for vision, B12 for energy, protecting nerves, making neurotransmitters, and vitamin D, the source highlights, we can make it ourselves. Just need sun exposure, 10 to 40 minutes, a few times a week, no sunscreen.
The sunshine vitamin. But what about vitamin supplements? Are they all created equal?
Apparently not. The source points out a common process called esterification, especially for fat-soluble vitamins like E.
Esterification. Sounds technical.
It is. It's done to stop the vitamin from oxidizing, extend shelf life, but the process removes oxygen, which basically makes the vitamin useless for the natural oxygen-based reactions our body needs it for.
So the takeaway is?
Choose whole food-based vitamins if you're supplementing. Get them in their natural, usable form.
Makes sense. What else is foundational? Sleep.
Huge. Often overlooked, but critical. Our brains consolidate memories, learn during REM sleep. And those new brain cells we apparently make every 4 days, they get imprinted with memory and function while we sleep.
So how much do we need? Does it vary?
It does. The source gives specific ranges. Unmedicated sleep, toddlers, 12-14 hours. Adults and seniors, more like 7-8 hours.
And there's a hormone connection too, right, with stress and sleep.
Big time. Stress raises cortisol, the stress hormone, and that tanks DHEA.
DHEA, what's that?
It's our anti-aging immune-boosting hormone. Low DHEA is linked to depression, poor immunity, artery issues, diabetes, lots of chronic stuff.
Wow, so better sleep means better hormone balance.
That's the idea. And the source gives practical tips. Cut stimulants like caffeine and sugar hours before bed. Reduce stimulation, definitely no screens in the bedroom. Maybe a relaxation hour before sleep.
Good advice. Okay, last foundational piece, exercise.
Absolutely critical. The source is clear. An inactive body just doesn't function well. And it states that most disease processes tend to diminish with exercise. Calls it a precise tool against obesity, diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, even cancer.
A precise tool, I like that. How does it work?
Well, it boosts circulation, increases cellular energy ATP, and stimulates human growth hormone. Especially powerful, it suggests, if done before breakfast or during fasting.
So you don't need to be a marathon runner.
Not at all. Start mild, progress gradually. Focus on total body function, not just, getting six-pack abs.
Right.
It also touches on detoxification, especially if you're aiming to lose significant weight, like over 15 pounds. Suggests things like that pre-breakfast exercise, low-heat saunas, colon cleansing.
Okay, so we've covered the problems, the building blocks. How do we put this all together? How do we take control?
Well, the whole point of this deep dive and the source material is about proactive health, giving you the power to make informed choices.
So knowing where you stand, like checking your waist measurement.
Exactly. Simple tools. Waist under 40 inches for men, 35 for women. Maybe understanding basic caloric needs, though it offers a simpler way.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It suggests if you eat 80% or more of those bondable fuels we talked about.
Right, the good stuff.
Yeah. Then you'll likely manage calories naturally, without obsessive counting.
Interesting.
And it really hammers home the importance of the liver. Says it's primary for all other organ functions. Performs 500 jobs daily. It's your internal toxic waste plant, your second line of defense.
500 functions. That's incredible. Our bodies really are amazing, aren't they? Bent on survival.
They truly are. The source emphasizes that. Even talks about the vagus nerve, transmitting chemical signals between organs, and how food can directly influence those signals. Shows just how deep the diet-body connection goes.
So what's the bottom line? What's the ideal diet according to this source?
It boils down to simple, straightforward foods, primarily meat and vegetables, kind of like a traditional Mediterranean approach.
It's simple.
Keep it simple. Keep insulin low. Get rid of the toxic stuff, sugars, refined grains, gluten, soy, white rice, potatoes. The ultimate goal is putting you back in control for a longer, healthier life.
Okay. So wrapping up our deep dive today, we've really journeyed through the source, you are what you eat. We looked at everything from cellular biochemistry, bondable fuels.
Right, through to the pretty concerning stuff about modern processed foods, GMOs, glyphosate, gluten.
Yeah, and also the importance of those often overlooked things. Minerals, vitamins, sleep, exercise.
It paints a clear picture, doesn't it?
It really does. The core message seems to be our bodies know what to do, but our health really does evolve from what we feed them. What does this all mean for you listening?
Well, maybe the most provocative thought, the one to really chew on, comes straight from the source. It says, you can say that genetics has dealt you a bad hand, but genetics only loads the gun. It's what you eat that pulls the trigger.
Wow. Genetics loads the gun, diet pulls the trigger.
Things you think, right? It suggests we have a huge amount of personal responsibility and maybe more power than we realize in our daily food choices.
Yeah, especially when you consider that other point that maybe 90% of food in this country is processed.
Destroying nutrients, swapping in synthetics our bodies might not even recognize.
It's a strong call to action. We aren't synthetic. Our bodies need the real deal. We really hope this deep dive helps you make choices that truly nourish you. Thanks for joining us.